It is a quarantine report from an amazing mountain meadow. I've even got dandelions to show you. I'll show you these in a bit. But first, this report, also call it maybe a report from maintenance land. And people ask me all the time about maintenance. Most of the stuff I talk about is the rapid weight loss phase because the members of the Like a Bear community are deep into the rapid weight loss phase. And I put out a video a few weeks ago talking about the difference between can't and don't. And it is applying to me in maintenance as like I struggle, as a lot of us do. In the quarantine, you can see this is some of my therapy. Oh my gosh, thank goodness. But what I talked about in that video is the difference between saying, like, especially internally in your own self-talk, I can't eat that, I don't eat that. And the idea that I can't is more like I can't because my mother told me I can't. The reason is out there, but I don't is much more internalized. And I talked about, like, I am not the type of person who eats that thing, the donut. Okay, so I am not the type of person who eats the donut. And so this isn't like a judgment thing about like someone who eats the donut. This is about like who we are as people, what we value in doing ourselves individually and our individual choices that are going to help us meet our goal and, like, maximize our happiness. And so I can't eat that thing is about some kind of external force telling you you can't because, oh, I don't know, it's not keto, because somebody told you it's not keto, and so you can't eat that. You know what? Forget all that. Are you the person who's going to eat all the sugar? And if you're not, say, I am not the kind of person who eats all the sugar. I don't eat all the sugar. And so I got like a bunch of messages about that video, and people saying like, you know what, why do I struggle so much with this? One of my friends actually messaged me and she said, I definitely tell myself like I don't watch porn. So why is it that I struggle so much every day with putting too many nuts on my ridiculously big salad? And I said, yeah, well, you could just put like, a little handful, and, saying some things like that. And she like came back to me and she said, I don't eat nuts. I am not the kind of person who eats nuts. I'm like, whoa. And so good for you. That's the way to solve it. That is the way, if you're struggling with the nuts, that self-talk that I am not the kind of person who eats the nuts. Okay, so then I find myself, my husband is buying like from WinCo's bulk bin, this like candy. It's sugar-free because it has maltitol in it or something. I mean, nobody is going to win the long game by eating junk from WinCo's bin that has like all this maltitol in it. Is it delicious? In fact, it's delicious. I know firsthand that it's delicious. I've eaten too much of it. And it's one of those things, you can't eat one, you keep eating it, and then you're all sick, 'cause then like you have digestive problems from it, for goodness sakes, and you're like, oh, I ate that. And by the way, your brain, you're like, oh, but it's sugar-free, so it's, okay. And also, like, you don't count the calories. It has calories, you can't, like, eat a mountain of that stuff and win, okay? You can't. And so it's the same thing as with the donut. You eat the one, and then you want to eat 47 of them. And so I'm eating this candy from a bin, and yeah, I'm in maintenance, okay? And maintenance is great because, like, you get a little bit more rope. You know how, like the dog on the rope who just has like a foot and can't go very far? And so then that's how you are in the rapid weight loss phase. And then you get a longer rope, okay? And then you just really hope with that longer rope you don't hang yourself. All right, we've seen that with the dogs. Okay, getting all caught up over there. So I'm all caught up on that longer rope, eating the maltitol whatever candy from the bulk bin. It was delicious, but it's kind of making me sick. And I also was feeling like, why am I doing this? And why am I struggling so much? So I actually went on a hike with my son Frederick, and we went up to the sequoias not too far from here, and we were on the trailhead, and I'm going down this trailhead, and I'm like feeling like the discomfort of like the digestion. You know what I'm talking about. And I'm thinking, why on earth, when I know like it's 100% predictable, if I ate 3 of those things that I'm going to feel like this, Why do I continue to struggle? Because for the last 5 days, I've had like some of my husband's stash. It's becoming a habit. What on earth am I doing? This is not the way to win the long game. And I'm thinking about this, and I'm thinking about my friend's message and her saying, I am not the kind of person who eats the nuts. And so I'm walking down the trail. Okay, I have a picture of myself. Like, I'm going to show you because, like, look, my stomach is like all bloated. That was the moment. It was this moment right after we took this picture, and my son went off on the trail on his bike, and I was there like thinking like, I'm struggling with this stupid candy. What is up? And there I am on the trail. It's completely empty because they usually are anyway, but with the quarantine, they're really empty. And I am just like bounding down the trail, and I just like say inside of myself, you are not the type of person who eats that candy out of the WinCo bulk bin. You are not that type of person. And then I just kept going, and I had a great hike, probably burned off all those stupid calories. So that was not an issue, but like drew the line, the bright white line right there. And you know what? I went home and I did it. And as I've thought about like after a meal, oh, do I want dessert? Because you're always going to want dessert. And it's kind of good not to get into a habit of it. And I struggle with that. And so it's like the end of the meal, and I have been so much better able to say no. Now, will I continue to struggle with it? Oh, I sure bet I will, because it is so easy to eat the first one. And you eat the first one, and then it's a second, and it's a third, and then the next day it starts all over again. So this is Groundhog Day, right? And so at some point you got to do it. And so that was my doing it. And you know, it worked. It's worked for a week. So think about this. And so my other message is like these tools that you're learning in the rapid weight loss phase, you're going to need them because this problem doesn't go away. You're always going to want to eat the donuts. I mean, let's be real. This idea that like all the cravings go away because we just eat like all of this like great ketogenic food or something. Come on. Deep down in here, are you really wanting the bread? Let's be honest. I think you're wanting the bread. I think you're wanting like the donuts, all that. We all want that stuff. And so we have to create these structures. And so one of my structures is actually things like coming to places like this and satisfying myself, comforting myself with the aromas. I mean, this is an amazing cedar and pine fir. There's some fir trees here. This forest with a meadow like this is fabulous. And picking things like these dandelions. And so you really have to like entertain your other senses. And I can't even tell you how life-changing it is to get out here and do this. So dandelions, for instance, about 3 years ago, I have these photos. I think it was 3 years ago. So in that case, I was like 270 pounds 3 years ago today because I'd already lost 10. And we were out picking dandelions, and I need to find the pictures of my kids, and their hands are just covered. They're just, hands are completely yellow because they picked all these dandelions. Mine are a little bit yellow today because unlike 3 years ago where I needed my sons to pick all the dandelions, I can squat. Okay, so let's not overlook like the simple things in life. I can squat, and I can squat for a long time and do things like pick the dandelions. And so I'm going to pick a bunch of these today. I've already picked some, and there's like oceans of them here. It's fabulous. It's fabulous. And I'm actually going to seed some of these in a little meadow near us where there are some already, but not a lot. And we'd like to have more. So I'm going to use some for seed. And I love to make lemon balm with this. I love to make a hand balm. And there's all kinds of little fun things you can do with dandelions if you have access to a lot. So it's a fun project. But the first thing is like planting them for the future. So I will take some for seed. But again, I am so mindful here. First of all, it's a great year for the harvest. And it's such a crummy year for other things. I feel like maybe it was the dandelions' time to come and to bloom in this time of quarantine, so there at least would be something. But totally grateful that I can actually pick them. So, you guys, think about where you're going to be in a year from now. Like the whole quarantine thing will be like all old hat or be experts or whatever. But how trim will you be after this next year of grinding and being out and like squatting and picking dandelions? Maybe. Okay. So, that's an idea for you anyway. I'm going to show you some of this amazing stuff here. And so check this out. This is a tiny little creek that is forming from the runoff in this meadow. This is the amazing meadow I just filmed this in, and we see this little seasonal creek. This is the very beginning of one of many parts of what will end up as the Kern River. This is one of the high mountain meadows here near the sequoias. And the meadows in the spring are all like this. You have to be careful actually not to like get your shoes wet and to cross the creeks and to navigate the mud, because there are all of these little streams that run down into the main rivers, and that is what becomes the Kern River. I mean, it's really like an analogy of life, really, like all these little things adding up to something amazing. So here it is. And if you've never been to a high mountain meadow like this in the spring, I think that needs to be a top goal, especially at the top of one of these amazing rivers, just to see just this idea like that such great things start so small. I mean, look at that. It is a tiny little stream and it's headed to something completely fabulous. You should see the Kern Canyon and the Kern River. And so yeah, this is the meadow that we're in right here.